first used as a symbol of statehood when Singapore gained internal self-government from the British in 1959. It was retained as the national flag when Singapore became independent in 1965. On the flag, red symbolizes universal brotherhood and equality of men, while white signifies pervading everlasting purity and virtue. The crescent represents a young rising nation. The stars embody the nation's 5 ideals of democracy, peace, progress, justice, and equality. We will soon sing the national anthem as the flags are being raised. As a mark of respect, follow the flag with your eyes as it is being raised. And also remember what the colors, the crescent, and the stars signify. Our national flag and our national anthem are symbols of our independence and nationhood. As we sing our national anthem with one voice, we unite as one people, one nation, one Singapore. Our national anthem.
Mari kita raya Singapura sama-sama menuju bahagia. Cita-cita kita yang mulia, berjaya Singapura. Mari kita bersatu.
School, Senang Diri.
First,
Cek jok.
mula maju-maju. Guru, menjabat. First, Nang Day, read.
Our recollections. This narration briefly explains the stages that Singapore went through to achieve independence and nationhood. There was a time not long ago when other flags flew in Singapore. The British flag in colonial rule and the Japanese flag in war. There was no freedom, no justice when our forefathers stepped ashore. Life was a struggle, bitter and hard, and families were hungry and poor. They spoke a dozen different tongues, though their dreams were all the same. But their hopes for a better life were lost when war and invasion came. The response. The response.
They had no rights, they had no say, they got to be free one day.
After the war, we called for change, for the right to decide our fate. Some of us wanted democracy, others a communist state. Riots and killings in our streets, years of hate and fear. People said we'd never survive as independence drew near. When self-rule came, we took a vote and joined Malaysia, merged as one. But even friends disagree sometimes, and more trouble had soon begun. The response.
Our happiness was not to be until our country could be free.
August 9, 1965, we were out of Malaysia alone. Against all odds, we had to build a nation of our own. We've come this far by ourselves, one people from many lands. Our forefathers paid the price for us. Now the future is in our hands. This is our home where we belong, and our flag flies high and free. But let's not take for granted what we have will always be. The response.
We pledge to keep our nation free with justice and equality.
Our pledge. Let us express our feelings as Singaporeans by placing our right fists over our hearts and saying the pledge together.
First,
Our pledge. We, the citizens
of Singapore, pledge ourselves as one united people, regardless of race, language, or religion, to build a democratic society based on justice and equality, so as to achieve happiness, prosperity, and progress of our nation.
The National Day message. I would now like to invite our principal, Mrs. Tay, to read out the national message.
seated. National Day message by Mr. Ng Chee Meng, Acting Minister, Schools for Education, Principals, Teachers and Students. We, the citizens of Singapore, it must have been a special feeling for the group of students who first recited our national pledge in August 1966. The first time they wholeheartedly declared themselves as citizens of Singapore. We, such a short word, but so fraught with meaning. Our forefathers came from different lands, spoke different languages, believed in different religion, and all were of different ethnicity. Yet Singapore welcomed everyone, and they became the pillars on which Singapore was built. Many things threatened to pull us apart in our early years. We were struggling to establish our own armed forces, which became crucial when the British announced plans in 1968 to withdraw their military troops. We had many economic uncertainties. Would we have jobs? Would we have a future? Who would invest in a tiny island with no natural resources? How would we create jobs for a people with little education? There were many questions and few answers. We overcame those early challenges and Singapore progressed. We celebrated our 50th birthday as a nation last year. We showed that Singaporeans had what it took to overcome the odds. We had never been prouder reciting our pledge and saying our anthem. We never more moved in seeing how our pioneers worked hard and laid the foundations for us. If 50 years showed us something, it was that no matter how full of uncertainties life can be, we can do it. When we put our mind to it and work together towards our future. Singapore is 51 years old this year. What will the future bring? There are still many uncertainties. The world is changing rapidly. Jobs will look very different in the years to come. Around the world and closer to home, terrorism and unpredictable weather and global markets are making us increasingly concerned for our safety and security. Today, just as in the past, we have many questions and few ready answers. How can we respond to these challenges? We must remain a tightly knit group, pledging every day as one united people, regardless of race, language, or religion, to build a society guided by the principles of justice and equality, and so that we may achieve happiness, prosperity, and progress for our nation. All of you are part of the new generation of Singaporeans who will write the next chapter of our Singapore story. We means working hard together for our families, our communities, and for Singapore, just as our pioneers did. We have to use the opportunities in school to learn and to grow. We have to pick up values, knowledge, and skills needed for the future. We need to make friends and build deep and meaningful relationships with each other. In your own special way, use opportunities and learning activities in and out of the classrooms, such as Values in Action projects, CCAs, and student leadership programs to make a difference in our community. You can play an important role in our Singapore story. We, the citizens of Singapore, have indeed come a long way. We are a nation strong and free, and we will continue to achieve great things as we work hand in hand to build our Singapore of tomorrow. I wish all of you a happy National Day. Mr. Ng Chee Meng, Acting Minister, Schools for Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Day. We will now have the inspection of the contingent. We would like to invite Mr. John Yap, Chairman, School Advisory Committee, to inspect the contingent. Mr. Yap, please.
Horace, lead. Horace, Russo, Senja.
The parade commander will now ask Mr. Yap for permission for the march past.